how did I get here? I've actually, thought a lot about this lately of like, how did I get here? I, as you mentioned, started in the industry in 2012. So when I graduated college, I had secured an internship at an agency in town called Fallon, and they were one of the big ones in Minneapolis. Right when I graduated, I started full time and I was doing account management and a hybrid of social media management. And that was before social media for brands was a thing. That was on Facebook when a brand was still considered a person because they hadn't launched brand profiles yet. So that probably dates me a little bit, but I've been doing this for a really long time and seen so many eras of social media. And then from there, I went to another agency and started heading up their content creation practice. So that's when content studios were really popular and influencers started taking off, moved into that role. And then from there, I started my job with the Vikings, which was obviously a dream job. Hometown team. I'm from Minnesota, so it was the perfect culmination of everything in my world, but had never worked in sports. So I think I got hired in that role because I didn't have sports experience and that's what they were looking for. And spent 2.5 seasons there. That's where I met you. I met a lot of awesome people across the NFL, both on the franchise side and the league side, which was cool. And then decided I needed a change of pace and went back to agency life, and then eventually got recruited out of that into brand side. So I've been on the agency side, team side, brand side, and now athlete side, it's given me a unique perspective because I know how the business works from all sides of the table, which is really cool. So that's what I've been up to. I probably, truncated that timeline quite a bit, but it's hard to talk about 12 years in 12 seconds, but I tried my best. So
No,
yeah.
for sure. Well, yeah, and I mean, like I thought going from football or from NASCAR to football to baseball kind of provided me with a really unique perspective, but it's like going from like 4 or 5 different angles of those things that you've been a part of is really, really cool. But that's always my claim, not claim to fame, but something I always bring up is like, yeah, like I was in social when you couldn't put video on Twitter or X, I guess now. And TikTok didn't exist. And we, with the Steelers launched the first Musical.ly account when that was a thing. So it's so crazy how far it's come and the careers that it's kind of launched from there, like you said, like there were different things where it's like, creator studios almost didn't exist and then they were a big thing, and it's kind of evolved in such a cool way that it's crazy where things have gone over the last 10-15 years. So
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And to think about where they're going is even crazier. So
yes. Oh yeah. I have a couple of like the most typical questions that you'll probably be asked, and I'm sure you've been asked a bunch of times, but just trying to dig more into, like I talked about, like how you got to where you are, and then any advice that you have for the next generation and people who are trying to kind of walk in your shoes and get to where you are. So, I mean, the first thing was like, when you were a kid, what was the dream, because like every time I do an interview, it's like, when did you know that this was a career, and when did you know that social media was, your thing? And it was like, well, there wasn't even classes about it when I was in college, so I had no idea. So take me back to even like when you were younger, what was the dream and how did it kind of mold into what it is now?
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about this because nowadays when you ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up, a content creator or an influencer is a thing that you
right.
For me, I think I've always loved sports, but I never knew that there were jobs in sports, especially going into high school and college. You think more traditional routes, you go finance, marketing, PR, whatever the route is. So when I learned that sports was an option, I was all in on it. And I honestly don't think I'll go back on that. When I was younger, I thought I would be working with animals. And I guess that's still true today. I do work with animals, just in a different way. But right. I never knew that this was even an option. And I remember in high school when Instagram came out, and people were starting to use it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like technology was changing so quickly. And then as soon as I got into college, there were marketing classes and digital marketing classes. And that was like right at, the dawn of the social media age. And so I didn't have classes I could take. I didn't have brands that I could point to on social to say that they did it well. So I very much started my career when when the industry started, which was really awesome because it allowed me to grow along with the industry and presented me with, and still presents me with, so many opportunities that I could not have even forecasted in my career. All that's to say, I kind of knew that I'd be in social media my senior year of college when I took a class that was Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. It was the worst possible time. It actually did not count for any credits. And it was an e-marketing class that the professors were adjunct professors at my first job, Fallon, and that's how I got the job. So I ended up skipping all the fun late night drinking festivities and pizza nights with fellow students, and took a class, and it ended up, changing the entire course of my career. But that's how it started. Really, it's no more simple and no more complicated than that.